Today's focus, the law of thought, the authority of the seed within. Thought is the origin of all that appears. This is the 7-minute daily focus, day 84 of 365, to focus on the world within from the world without. Today's focus, the law of thought, the authority of the seed within. Thought is the origin of all that appears. Stay focused on this today. Thought is within, effect is without, thinking stands between. You are dealing with the metaphysical, you are dealing with design, you are dealing with the ground. The mind is the ground. Thought is the seed within the ground. The ground contains the seed. The seed is complete. What you recognize is what is unfolds into its physical expression. You are not waiting for thought to become real. Thought is already real. You are not developing the seed. You are recognizing the seed. Your first sense recognizes within. Your 5 senses observe what appears in the world without. They are not the same. Pause for a moment. There is nothing to correct. Recognition is alignment. Recognition is acceptance. Recognition is approval. And recognition is authorization. What you recognize is. What you do not recognize is not. I like to go further, deeper. There is a quiet authority within you that does not announce itself loudly. It does not compete. It does not argue. It simply is. And this is where thought exists, not as noise, not as reaction, not as commentary about what appears in the world without, but as the silent certainty of what is already established within. Most people live from what they observe. They look outward, they measure, they compare, and then they attempt to think. But this reverses the order, because thinking that begins from what appears in the world without is unstable. It shifts, it reacts, it adjusts, and in doing so, it interrupts the continuity of the seed. But you are not here to react. You are here to recognize. Thought does not borrow authority from what is seen. Thought is the authority from which what is seen unfolds. This is the shift. When you recognize thought as the seed within, you stop negotiating with appearance. You stop asking, what is happening? And instead, you stand in what is. Because what is not determined by the world without. What is determined by what you recognize within. This is why stability is essential. Not effort, not force, not repetition through strain, but steadfast recognition. To remain with thought, to allow it, to not replace it, to not dilute it, and to not question it because of what appears externally. Because the moment thought is questioned, the seed is disturbed. And when the seed is disturbed, expression is delayed. But when thought is recognized fully, without interruption, without adjustment, without reaction, it remains whole. And what remains whole within unfolds without distortion. You are not becoming, you are not progressing toward thought. You are recognizing what already is. This is why there is nothing to correct. There is only recognition, and recognition is alignment. Let this become clear. Thought is not a suggestion. Thought is not a preference. Thought is not a passing image that comes and goes without consequence. Thought is structure. Thought is design. Thought is the complete pattern held within the ground of the mind. And because thought is complete, it does not require assistance from what appears in the world without. It does not need confirmation. It does not need agreement. It does not need evidence. It only requires recognition. This is where most become divided. They recognize for a moment, then they look outward, then they adjust, then they question, and in that movement they separate themselves from the continuity of the seed. But you are learning to remain, not to hold by force, not to repeat by strain, but to stand in what is already established within, to recognize once and remain with that recognition. Because what is recognized does not need to be recreated. It needs to be preserved. The power is not in creating thought. The power is in not abandoning it. When you understand this, you begin to see why reaction interrupts expression. Reaction shifts attention away from the seed. Reaction introduces instability, and reaction replaces recognition with observation. And observation of the world without does not create, it reports. So when you react, you begin to treat the report as if it is the origin, and this reverses order. But when you remain with thought, you stay aligned with origin. You remain with what is primary, and what is primary determines what appears. This is why steadiness is essential. Not intensity, not urgency, steadiness. A quiet, unwavering recognition that does not move because of what appears in the world without. Because what appears in the world without is always responding. It is never leading, so you do not follow it. You recognize within. And as you recognize within, something becomes clear. You are not separate from thought. You are not observing thought as something outside of you. You are recognizing from within the ground itself. This is why recognition carries authority, because it is not distant, it is immediate. When you recognize, you are not reaching, you are acknowledging. And acknowledgement stabilizes the seed. Once stabilized, the seed does not require interference. It does not require adjustment. It unfolds according to its own law. Your role is not to interfere. Your role is to remain aligned. And alignment is simple. It is the absence of contradiction. When you do not contradict thought, it remains whole. When it remains whole, it expresses without distortion. This is why divided attention weakens expression, because division introduces multiple recognitions, and multiple recognitions produce instability within the ground. But a single recognition, held without interruption, remains unified, and what is unified within expresses clearly without. So the practice is not effort, the practice is constancy. To remain with what is recognized, to not replace it because of what is seen, to not adjust it because of what appears, to not question it because of what is reported. Because thought is not responding to the world without. The world without is responding to thought. Once this is clear, there is a quiet confidence that begins to form, not based on evidence, not based on outcome, but based on understanding. And this confidence is steady. It does not rise and fall. It does not depend on conditions. It remains because it is grounded in what is. So you return again, not to try, but to recognize. And as you recognize, you remain. And as you remain, the seed unfolds without force, without strain, and without interruption by law. Affirmation for day 84. I recognize thought as complete within. I do not react to what appears in the world without. I remain with what is. I allow the seed to unfold by its own law, by design, by the law of thought,